If your team is still chasing perfect requirements, you are already losing. Because the moment requirements become prescriptions, innovation dies. And this is exactly what Scott Varho was talking about when I asked him about product engineering collaboration.
Well, it was a shift in my career as a product person to do less prescriptive describing. This is what I want the feature to do, and more. This is what I'm hoping we're going to accomplish, and to be much more anchored in that. And then, of course, there's all kinds of techniques to try to remind product people to do that. But if you're not if you haven't absorbed the spirit of it, like it's an invitation, right? So like if I write a user story that is directional, it's an invitation for you to come in and help me make the everything else that comes after the my intention is my thoughts on what how we can achieve that intent. But if you have better ideas, I want to hear them, right? Like that's where we can start to say, like, look, you as a technologist and another human being have a different perspective on this. What do you have to bring to the table? Um, I think that you can innovate and create a lot more value through that kind of collaboration. And again, the mentality of like, well, if you give me perfect requirements, I'll create a perfect code is a terrible model for creating great products. Like that's just not how great products get built. It should be much more horizontal, much more. We have a shared mission. Yes, there's certain work that I do more of than you're going to do, but definitely those feedback loops and those opportunities to make it better than I thought of when I was left alone to create user stories the week before engineers got to look at anything. You know what I mean? So I started as I got more and more senior, I started to retreat more and more from writing details. And it was more like, here's the constraints. I wanted to make sure that the engineer knew the constraints. It can't do this, it can't do that, whether it's legal or something environmental, right? Something outside of the code, but something in the market that we have to respect. Maybe privacy, maybe we're not allowed to share, personally identifiable details on this page, or it could be anything, or in an API. Um, at the same, it's interesting. On the same token, as I want to encourage engineers to play a bigger role in the requirements. I hate that word. So, but it's the word that gets used. So I'll throw it out there. The requirements. The things that we're going to build. I also encourage product people to learn about technology and not because they should be weighing in on what's right or what's wrong, but they should understand the trade-offs that are being made. Um, and to take a real interest because it affects our customers, right? So how could I not want to weigh in? So I ask a ton of questions, and this helped me become ultimately technical enough to be able to lead engineering teams. But I asked a lot of questions. I was like, I don't understand what asynchronous messaging means, but can you break this down for me? Like, why do we want it? Messaging queues, all of these technology, pub sub models, webhooks, all these things. And I was like, oh, like this really helps my system be more resilient and fault tolerant, if we do these right. So then thinking through system dynamics and how our systems would integrate with client systems, and what kind of use cases would I need to think about as part of that, made me a better product manager, and then made it possible for me to join the debates that engineers were having about technical trade-offs. Should we do this? Should we do that? What approach should we take? Um, and of course, my role is to represent the market and client trade-offs. Um, but I think that's part of the collaboration, right? Like we should get out of our lanes so that we can add value throughout the product lifecycle.